Welcome to the Rainy Day Rabbit Holes podcast, your escape from the mundane.
Dive into the rich history of the Pacific Northwest with us and let your mind wander down the rabbit hole.
Because in the Northwest, it's always raining something weird. I am Shea.
And I'm Jody. Let's fall down the rabbit hole.
Hey, Rainy Day Rabbit Holes fans. We know you love a bit of quirky history, and today we're diving into something a little controversial. Brace yourselves. I'm about to make a bold statement that may risk me getting canceled.
No.
Or at least getting slapped with the title Pathetic Suburbanite.
Oh.
Yeah, that's a true story. I was called that on the internet. Isn't it grand?
It's a pathetic suburbanite.
Yes. And the only reason I got called that is because I was on a travel group and somebody asked, what are some things you can do in Seattle that aren't touristy? And I was like, well, all the things worth doing in Seattle are touristy. It's like, why don't you branch out and try going to some of these other places? And I said, Tacoma's really cool. And in fact, I enjoy Tacoma more than Seattle. It was nothing like crappy, but this guy was like, pathetic suburbanite.
What?
Like, okay. Should I?
Tacoma's not a suburb. It's not a suburb
Right.
of Seattle.
I think, is it a Seattleite who thinks that they are the only city?
That sounds right.
Okay, that was my thought, is like they think that they are the only city in Washington.
They think Tacoma's a bedroom neighborhood.
Yeah, no, instead of a city of its own. So, I am standing by that statement, though.
Yeah.
Well, I haven't made the statement yet, have I? I have to say the statement before I can stand next to it. I'm so tired and hungry.
Shea needs glucose.
Here it is. Here's my statement. Tacoma is more interesting than Seattle. There, I said it.
That you said it.
I said it.
You're brave. I mean, I feel it, but I feel like the Seattleites are going to come after us.
I know.
Shea.
We're risking getting canceled.
All right, let's hear it. Maybe they'll maybe they'll believe us
Yes.
when we're done.
All right, so before you throw your Starbucks at me, let's unpack this together. I know those are fighting words, but trust me, you'll see Tacoma in a whole new light by the end of this episode. Okay, here we go. We're going to go back in time. We start back in 1873 when we beat Seattle out for the Northern Pacific Railroad's western terminus.
Wait, I have one thing to say before we even get going. You keep saying we. So you're Tacoma. This is how much you believe in what you're saying.
Very astute observation.
Yeah.
And I noticed that last night when I was giving tours of Stadium High School, that I say we, as if I am part of Stadium High School, as if I am part of Tacoma. And I must preface this with a little disclaimer. I do not live in Tacoma.
Yeah, there's no bias.
I know. I live about 20 minutes east of Tacoma, 15, 20 minutes. But I go to Tacoma all the time. And when I know I want to do something cool, I go to Tacoma.
Yeah.
So that's why I say we, because I'm an honorary Tacoman.
Yeah. I would say that for sure.
Yes, I'm a Tacoma lover.
Yes. So I just wanted to point out that
And a Tacoma fighter.
You've assimilated yourself into the
Exactly.
Tacomans.
I'm part of the gang. Okay, so back to the railway. So getting the western terminus for the Northern Pacific Railroad was a BFD at the time.
Mm-hmm.
It was a big deal, and that's really what put Tacoma on the map, because it had been a city for only 1 year at that point. And this really made Seattle upset. And this is what started the rivalry. So this established Tacoma as the city of destiny, which I think is maybe a little bit better than the Emerald City.
Yeah, I mean,
because the city
inspires
of destiny.
Right. Yeah. Just you're going to succeed. You're going to become
manifest
something.
Destiny.
Yes.
Yeah. So there we go. That's one. And it established Tacoma as a center for shipping, forest products, you name it. So we may not be the largest city in Washington, but we make up for it in grit.
So like diverse economic opportunities.
So that was point number 1. Because we're going to...
So more than Seattle for diverse economic opportunities? Or... Oh, sorry. I was just wondering, because because we're saying Tacoma's better than Seattle. So.
Okay, I don't have statistics in front of me.
Okay, skip that part.
So point number 2 of our 13 reasons why Tacoma dominates Seattle. The origin of the Men in Black mythology was right here in Tacoma. Have you heard of the Maury Island incident?
You better have. It was one of our episodes.
A good one, too, I must say.
No, it was...
Summer of Saucers.
Yes, thank you.
In June of 1947, a man named Harold Dahl was out on his boat collecting logs that had strayed away from the log jams that were headed to Tacoma's pulp mills. And we can talk about the stinkier city later. When all of a sudden, 6 donut-shaped discs appeared in the sky, one of them raining molten metal over the boat. Harold's dog was killed, his son injured, and the man and his crew beached the boat to escape the rain of hot slag. He told his boss about it later, who probably blabbed about it, and the next day, a mysterious man in a black suit showed up at his door and warned him to stay quiet about the incident. Later, the newly formed Air Force sent 2 investigators out to interview Harold and his boss in downtown Tacoma at the Winthrop Hotel.
Mm-hmm.
So according to legend, they did not want to show up to the meeting in their official Army uniforms. So they stopped at the local Tacoma Woolworths to buy the cheapest suits they could find, which were black, giving another sighting of the mysterious Men in Black. Supposedly, the Air Force men lectured the 2 men on wasting government's time, took a box with them that contained the alleged metal slag from the UFO. They got on a plane, which almost immediately crashed. The 2 investigators were killed, and the box of mystery metal was lost forever.
Forever.
Okay.
Dun, dun, dun.
So go listen to that episode.
Yeah, it's pretty interesting and funny that all happened here.
Yep. So there we go. That's point number 2. Men in Black, UFOs.
So no UFOs in Seattle?
Unless you count the Space Needle.
Oh, that is true. That is true.
Number 3. Speaking of metal slag, our copper and lead smelters spilled out industrial slag into the bay and onto the beaches. Now, that's not a point in its favor. But Frank Herbert, the author of Dune, spent good portions of his childhood exploring Tacoma and was inspired by the towering sight of the city's copper smelter and black glassy slag, which he incorporated into scenery in his epic tale Dune. There is even a Dune Peninsula at Point Defiance Park with a sandworm sculpture.
Crazy. Weren't we just there?
I know, we didn't even go.
It.
I know,
yeah.
We didn't look.
Yeah, well, we didn't know at the time, but now we know.
No, well, I knew. I just didn't remember.
Oh, got it. Yeah.
Remember, I got to keep things in my brain. And just as a side note, we also hold the title of one of the most polluted waterways in the country.
Really? Well, I feel like Seattle was trying really hard.
I know, but yeah, because of all the industry in the port.
Duwamish up there.
Yeah, the Duwamish is pretty dang polluted too. I think that's probably number 2. It's running close.
Number 2.
Head and head. Number 2, it's full of number 3. It's full of number. Well, okay. All right, moving on. Number 4. We have a cooler bridge, the Tacoma Narrows Bridge.
Yeah.
Name one Seattle bridge that is as cool as the Narrows. You can't, because there isn't one.
No. I mean, there's the floating bridge. Is that it goes into Seattle? Yeah.
Yeah, that's not that cool, though.
It's not that cool.
It's very boring.
And it never galloped.
No.
It never, I mean, this one doesn't, but.
No, the new one doesn't gallop. Also, what's even better is we have some of the world's largest octopuses underneath the current Tacoma Narrows Bridge, living in the ruins of the former Tacoma Narrows Bridge. So can you say that about Seattle? No, you cannot. You just
Kraken. The Kraken's here. It's not in Seattle.
Exactly. I mean, all Seattle has is a human leg in a plastic bag.
Oh gosh.
So go listen to our.
That's not even as cool as our
Listen to our Salish Sea Feet episode that we re-released last month and to hear about the human leg in a plastic bag. Because why, Jody?
All bodies come in plastic bags.
Exactly.
Black ones preferably. Usually.
So real quick, I'm going to tell you a little bit more about the Narrows while we're on this topic. According to legend, the largest octopus in the world lives below the Tacoma Narrows Bridge, which spans a portion of the Puget Sound between Tacoma and Gig Harbor. So we already mentioned on that. And in Tacoma, there is a legend that there is a 600-pound octopus that they call King Octopus.
Yeah, Kraken.
Yes. The original bridge was known as Galloping Gertie. It opened in July of 1940 after almost 2 years of construction. And almost immediately from the time the deck was built, the bridge would move vertically in windy conditions, hence the nickname Galloping Gertie. It cost $6.4 million to construct, and at the time was the third longest suspension bridge in the world. So planners underestimated traffic volumes on the bridge, and it was built with only 2 lanes, and it was only 39 feet wide. So it was very narrow in comparison to its length of 2,800 feet, and this was its undoing. So on November 7th, it opened on July 1, 1940. On November 7th of 1940, a 40-mile-per-hour wind caused the bridge to hump and buckle until it finally collapsed into the Narrows.
It is the craziest thing to me that they caught that on film.
I know. Yeah, there's a
You can see a video of this.
It's cray.
Especially in that era. It wasn't like there was CCTV everywhere.
Exactly.
And that a dog died and that was it.
Yep.
Poor
That's dog.
Crazy.
So the remains of Galloping Gertie are at the bottom of the Narrows, and that created an artificial reef. Divers in the area have seen huge octopuses and the legend of the 600-pound King Octopus. So you can hear more about that if you go listen to our episode Release the Kraken, which is all about sea monsters of the area. So speaking of water, this is point number 5. Tacoma's port is deeper, bigger, runs harder and faster, which is why so many of Seattle's shipping customers choose to move their business from Seattle to Tacoma.
Fascinating. I did not know that, even though I'd been out there with my own boat. And I will tell you, it's faster. Spins you in circles when you try to dock your boat.
Point number 6, Tacoma gives the best dome. The Tacoma Dome.
Oh my! Is it the best dome? I mean, I think it's the only one now, right? Like,
Seattle doesn't have a dome.
No, I guess you don't call it. I want to call it Key Arena. They don't call that anymore.
Climate Pledge.
Climate
That's not a dome.
No,
it's pointy.
Yeah.
At the time of Tacoma Dome's opening, it was the largest wood ceiling dome in the world. That's so cool,
right? And
it's still there.
When was it built?
I want to say it was in the 1970s.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I remember when it opened. I was a small child, so
I had the date in another episode. I just don't remember.
So
it now.
It wasn't like it was built in the 1940s when they used wood primarily.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? They went back to the wood.
To
do this.
Point number 7. Seattle likes their sports, and Seattleites are a big fan of a certain football team. And we're saying football in the European sense, soccer team. The Sounders football team was actually founded in Tacoma.
Absolutely. I was a fan then too.
Yep. So
I went down and watched them there. Well, the soccer center next to it, I believe, was the original soccer area before the dome.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Number 8. George Francis Train was the inspiration for Jules Verne's Around the World in 80 Days, as he circled the globe in only 67 days. And he started his journey from in front of the Knights of Pythias Temple right here in Tacoma.
We got to tour that, and he gave us that info. I was like, wow, that is just...
There's actually a plaque in the sidewalk.
I think you are doing a service to our listeners right now, talking about how amazing Tacoma is, because Seattle just wins the identity war. You know what I mean? When people go to Washington, like when I just went on vacation, where do you live? Somewhere near Seattle, because nobody knows about Tacoma.
Yep, I have to do that too.
And so these great things they need to know about.
So point number 9. One of our great characters is one of the coolest people I've heard about in the last several years, and that is Ray Gamble, the millionaire magician. I don't think Seattle has a millionaire magician.
No. And he was so many more things.
Yes, which we are not going to get into now.
You can watch that. You can go listen to our episode
on
it.
Where we had the wonderful historian Michael Sullivan on and told us all about it. It is fascinating. So go listen to that episode. It is incredible. But Ray Gamble, definitely a check box there for cool people.
Yep.
Seattle mostly just has like grifters that they name streets after. Like, look at Yesler, right? Like, all of the mayors in Seattle were so corrupt. I did a bonus episode for the Patreon on Hiram Gill, and he was just like ridiculously corrupt. So Seattle has all the criminals.
Yes. It's the illegitimate city.
Yes.
We're the legitimate city. Look, now I'm saying we.
See? Did it to you. All right. So before we move on to our last 4 points, let's take a little break. And these sponsors can tell you why their services and products are better than others. Okay, we are back. And if you don't want to hear ads, you can always join our Patreon. For just $5 a month, you can get ad-free episodes a day early. And then higher tiers also get some free merch. It's very good. Oh, plus you get bonus episodes.
But then your hair is shiny and your pants fit better.
Oh yeah, I forgot about that bonus. Yes. Mm-hmm. Definitely.
It's really good for your soul.
Yes, absolutely. And I think my teeth have actually started to straighten a little bit.
Oh my goodness.
Just amazing.
Signing up for the Patreon.
Yeah. All right, here we are. Point number 10, why Tacoma dominates Seattle.
Okay, give it to
Ready?
me.
We have a castle.
We do.
We have probably the world's coolest high school. Mm-hmm. I don't know. I haven't been through the rest of the world. The country's coolest high school.
Definitely. It is. It's got to be.
Right here in Tacoma. And I just gave tours of it. As of this recording, it will not be last night. So it was October 19th as of this recording, it is last night. As of release, it is last month. But I gave tours of this. So I actually have a lot of knowledge about Stadium High School right now. So Stadium High School was originally designed to be a fantastic luxury hotel called the Tourist Hotel. And it was designed in a French chateau style. There was going to be 250 guest rooms, a barbershop for those railroad tycoon mustaches, Turkish baths because regular baths are for peasants, a billiards room for sophisticated ball knocking, a bar, a bakery, and a wine room. Essentials, of course. That was part of my script.
From last night. Nice. I was wondering. I'm like, she's memorized all this.
Because I memorized the whole thing.
Number 10.
But unfortunately, the financial collapse or financial crisis of 1893 hit Tacoma like a freight train. Banks were closed, dreams were shattered, and construction of the hotel to be halted. So fast forward to 1903, and the Tacoma School District bought the partially constructed building for $34,000. And then it opened its doors as a high school in 1906, and it has been a high school ever since. And it is so cool. They did a major renovation in 2005, so it is just spectacularly beautiful. 10 Things I Hate About You was filmed mostly there. In fact, 10 Things I Hate About You was filmed almost entirely on location in Tacoma, though there are a couple shots in Seattle, but it's a Tacoma movie. And something that's really cool is last night, or last month, on my second tour, I met one of our listeners.
I know. I think this is crazy.
Janaea, hi. Thank you so much for making the trek down from where you live to come and join me on my very first night giving the tour, it's entirely solo. I really appreciate it. It was fantastic to meet you. And it meant so much to me. Like, it really made my day. So I really appreciate it. Thank you so much. And I hope you like your sticker.
Amazing to hear people recognize us or even want to meet you. That's so crazy.
Yeah.
It's amazing.
So she heard about it, the tour from our podcast, wanted to come down and meet me. And it was such a treat. So thank you so much, Shea. You are the bestest. All right. Point number 11. Speaking of Stadium High School, the P&W's own Dale Chihuly is an alum. In fact, he helped to create Tacoma's Museum of Glass, a 75,000 square foot building with a 13,000 square foot gallery and a 7,000 square foot hot shop. So that's that beehive cone shape you see. And there's also a bridge spanning the freeway called the Chihuly Bridge of Glass. That's well worth seeing. So
that's gorgeous.
Dale Chihuly is ours, Tacoma.
He is from Tacoma.
Yes. So I know there's a ton of his work in Seattle, all around the Space Needle. There's the gardens, the glass gardens, but that is a Tacoman.
Yep.
Okay. Point number 12. We have the largest trash removal company in Washington, LeMay. Yes. We're going to do an episode, I think, next year about LeMay. I know that sounds weird. Why do we want to hear about a trash removal company? But it is fascinating. Yeah, this family, the story, the maybe shady business practices, his cars.
I was going to say, is that how he got all his cars?
He's got like 3 car museums. Yeah. And how he got
they're
all these
all
cars.
His cars.
Yes. And how he got them all is crazy. So we will do an episode about LeMay in the future, but it is the largest trash removal company in Washington. Okay. Point number 13. And this is a statistic.
So it's a fact.
It's a fact. It was in a newspaper.
Data.
There was data. Mm-hmm. There were some surveys taken.
Okay.
Polls, which are very accurate. As we well know.
They always tell the truth.
Always.
They forecast the truth. Mm-hmm.
According to the Tacoma News Tribune, 60% of readers ranked Tacoma as a happier city than Seattle, and Outside Online ranked Tacoma in the top 15 happiest places to live in the U.S.
In the U.S.
So suck it, Seattle.
Yeah, suck it. I mean, the first one came from the Tacoma News Tribune, but whatever. I still agree.
Are you pooping on the Tacoma News Tribune?
I was here as the devil's advocate for Seattle.
Okay.
You've won me over. I started saying
I love the Tacoma News Tribune. They have great
No, I'm not
articles.
talking on them. I'm saying they're in Tacoma. So, of course, these people are going to vote for Tacoma. It's
right.
a little biased.
A little biased. It's not like the Seattle Post-Intelligencer released that one.
Yeah, exactly. Their polls might be different.
But it's still a statistic.
No, I wouldn't talk on the Tacoma News Tribune.
Oh, no,
ever.
I love them.
I do, too. And I've
great
toured
reporting.
them.
Cool.
I'm just going to say I spent about 4 years watching my daughter have articles about her while she played soccer. So I loved it.
Okay, that's awesome.
Loved it.
Great newspaper. So I also want to shout out on the tail end of this to a great little local low power radio station, Radio Tacoma, which took a chance on our silly podcast and is actually playing it 3 times a week. So Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. and Saturday at 7 p.m. You can, if you're in the Tacoma area and you want to have an old school experience and listen to the radio instead of a podcast, you can listen there. So thank you to everyone on Radio Tacoma.
Yes,
we really appreciate it.
It's so exciting to be there. And when I tell people, they're like, what? You are? Like, yes.
And they're like, where can we listen? You'll have to drive to Tacoma.
Yeah.
But it's fine. Tacoma obviously is a great place to visit. Great restaurants, great music venues. Go to McMenamins and explore. The best McMenamins definitely is Tacoma. Forgot to mention that.
Way, the views. Love it.
The most gorgeous houses. Mm-hmm. Okay. So we could go on and on and on, but I think we've made our point with those 13 reasons why Tacoma dominates Seattle. I don't know. What do you think? Do you agree with me?
I agree with you. You won me over. I was here, challenging each step, but I agree with you. I'm curious how many of our listeners are going to come in. Tell us why Seattle's better.
Okay. Yeah.
Challenge us.
Here it is. You guys get on our social media and you can find the posts about this episode. And I want you to tell me some reasons why you think Seattle's better. So let's start a fight.
Prove us wrong.
Or you could always email me at Shea@rainydayrabbitholes.com. Don't be mean.
A what?
No.
Suburbanite?
Oh, you can call me a pathetic suburbanite. I'm not quite sure. I actually am, because I do actually live in the suburbs.
Yeah.
But
how did you know?
I don't think I'm pathetic.
No, you're not.
So anywho, all right, guys. Well, thank you so much. Remember, you can join our Patreon. Just find that at our website, rainydayrabbitholes.com. Please follow our social media. It's Rainy Day Rabbit Holes pretty much everywhere. Instagram, it's Rainy Day Rabbit Holes Pod. We're on X. We're on Tumblr. We're on YouTube. We're on, Facebook, Instagram, Threads.
Yeah, we're everywhere.
Were you scratching your crotch?
No, it's my foot.
Oh, I'll cut that. Or will I leave it in?
If I said yes, though, you'd say you'd keep it in, huh? No, I'm cross-legged scratching my foot.
And also, it makes us feel all warm and fuzzy inside when you reach out and tell us that you like us. We like compliments. So go on Apple Podcasts and leave us a review. So you can give us stars and write something about us. And it would be fantastic if you wrote something nice. We'd like that. On Spotify, you can just do a star rating. So give us 5 stars, won't you? So if you guys all do that, it makes us feel better and it makes us look extra special.
Yes.
Okay. Yes. All right. We're getting out of here. We're tired. We're hungry. All right. We'll see you next time, Ann. See you down the rabbit hole.
Number 2. Is that poop? Taking a doo-doo?
Are you calling Tacoma poopy?
Well, there was a time where it smelled like it.
Not anymore. Okay.